If you think you can't speak English because you don't know enough vocabulary, you are wrong. The problem isn't how many words you know, but how you learn them. In this video, I will talk about a very permanent vocabulary learning method that I have tested many times with my own students. I promise that if you learn words this way, you will eventually find yourself able to truly speak English. So let's overcome this vocabulary problem. The first mistake you make when learning words is not experiencing the word enough. That sounds strange, doesn't it? But I know exactly what I mean. If, when learning an English word, you just say, "This word means this" in my native language, and then move on a few seconds later, I'm sorry to say, you will never be able to use that word when you try to speak English. So what should we do? I will explain it step by step, so listen carefully. The first step is to repeat the word many times. For example, let's say our word is giant. What does it mean? Very big, much bigger, or more important. Now you repeat this word with your eyes closed. Giant, 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 giant. And with each repetition, imagine something giant in your mind. For example, the giant man in a movie you recently watched. Constantly associate the word giant with that giant man. In fact, this is the way to learn a word permanently. Associating words with images from everyday life, not with other words. This way, when you want to say giant about something, that giant man will come to your mind, and you will be able to use the word immediately. Spend 2 to 3 minutes with the word, saying giant, giant. That's what I mean by experiencing the word, spending time with it. After successfully completing the first step, let's move on to the second step. Be sure to use the word you've learned in a sentence. This step is really important. Okay, in the first step, we've placed the word in our minds on its own, but speaking English isn't just about single words. To be able to speak it when the time comes, we need to practice forming sentences with that word. For example, you are sitting at home looking out of the window, and there is a big tree outside. Then you could say, "There is a giant tree in the garden." See, you formed your first sentence. So when used in a sentence, this word comes before a noun because giant is an adjective. Let's increase the example sentences. I saw a giant dog in the park. They built a giant house near the sea. The baby is holding a giant balloon. As you can see, we've moved from saying the word alone to using it in real-life sentences. Now the word's retention rate has significantly increased. Let's move on to the third step. Periodically review the words you've learned. What does this mean? Now we have learned the word giant. On the first day, repeat this word every 2 hours. On the second day, every 3 hours. On the third day, every 4 hours. And believe me, after the third day, even if you never look at that word again, it will already be ingrained in your memory. Even a month after, when you read, hear, or want to use it, it will immediately come to mind. These 3 steps I've explained are the key to learning vocabulary. Now, you might rightly ask, with the method you described, we will only spend 3 to 5 minutes on one word, but there are thousands more words we need to learn. This will be a very long process for me, okay? But I never said you need to learn thousands of words. If you learn the right words in the right way, learning one word might be equivalent to learning 10 to 20 words. Let me explain what I mean with just one word. For example, let's take the verb take. Perhaps most of you only know this word for to move or carry something from one place to another. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Let's even give an example. Don't forget to take your jacket when you leave. But you need to know that an English word doesn't have to have only one meaning. Take is one of them. Let's look at another meaning, to lead or direct someone from one place to another. Let's give an example right away. A boy led us to our room. Another meaning is to move someone or something from one level or state to another. For example, his energy and talent carried him to the peak of his profession. As you can see, we can talk about more than 30 different uses of the verb take. There are also expressions and phrasal verbs formed with take. Now, if you only think of this verb in a simple way, like taking an apple from the table, you will of course have problems when you encounter its different uses. Other verbs that have multiple meanings like take include get, have, and make. Just like take, these also have many meanings and uses. Therefore, if you only know these four verbs with all their meanings and uses, you can construct hundreds of sentences. In this way, any English to English dictionary would be suitable for learning words with their different meanings and uses. My most preferred one is oxfordlearnersdictionaries.com. Having explained all this, I want to ask you something. How many of you actually use these methods when learning English vocabulary? You might think you've learned hundreds or even thousands of words, but you only spent a few seconds on each one before moving on to the next. Remember, this isn't a numbers competition. The idea that the more words you know, the better you speak doesn't work in language learning. After this video, view words not as random people you see on the street, but as friends you bring into your life. You can see thousands of people during the day, but you can't be friends with thousands of them. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.